Hey everyone, it's Alicia, joined by my incredible co-host Tori Kravitz, and welcome back to She's with the Band. New week, new guest. How are we feeling, Tor?
I feel like a new person on this new week with this new
Woo!
guest. No, I feel great. I feel like there's just been so much happening in the rock world. There always is, but it gets me so excited to come on here every week, talk to some new artists, talk about rock music. It's like
Yes.
I'm very grateful this is what my life revolves around, and that we have people to join us in the journey. So how are you, Alicia?
I'm doing really well. I will preface, as I always say, it's funny. Like a couple weeks ago, I was under the weather. This time around, I had some dental work done, so I'm a little out of it, but I'm just so happy that we have today's guests on the show because they're actually people we have history with. I've had them on my show before. You've interviewed them for KNOTFEST before, and they're just a really kick-ass group. We're talking about
Yes.
Destroy Boys, everybody. They literally had one of my favorite recent releases with that latest record, and on top of that, one of my favorite lyrics that has literally been put onto an album within the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years, which is Hunting Witches has turned into Hunting Bitches. Just, they're such a clever group. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a really, really solid one.
Yeah, that's the thing I love about them. And when we did the interview at Slam Dunk Festival a few months ago, I had said to them, I'm like, I love that you're political. You have things to say that matter to this generation of punk fans that really resonates with us, but in a way that's so tongue in cheek and so fun that it doesn't feel like so abrasive or hard to listen to. Like it's equal parts fun, but I love that they also stand for something. So I couldn't think of a more perfect guest today.
Yeah, I think it's going to be wicked being able to get their insight like it always is with the different people we have on. But I remember from that first interview and conversation I had with them, just how free flowing the conversation went. And you know how it is as an interviewer, sometimes you go in with those questions and you have them on the side in case you need them. And with them, it was just so off the cuff, which I love. You can't ask for anything more with a guest being a host. So, a little insight for the listeners today, but it's nice when you can just
Yes.
really shoot the breeze.
Yeah, it was actually funny because I had a very different experience, but also we were in the UK and I could tell that they were just exhausted, like jet lagged, and probably really
Oh,
didn't want to be in an interview. No shade to them at all because I get it. Like when
no.
you have a show to play and a job to do, sometimes press is like the last thing on a band's mind. So I remember Alexia came up to the tent and they were just like exhausted and pretty quiet. And I was just kind of trying to break the ice because it was the first time we had met, and I was like, oh, do you want to see the questions before the interview? You could take a look at kind of what the talking points are going to be. And their face just lit up because they were like,
Oh,
wait, these questions are so different from anything I've been asked before. This is going to be great.
hell yeah, Tor.
And I was like, let's go. But it just like, they really warmed up to me over time. And then I remember the next day of Slam Dunk after our interview, Violet had walked by the Knotfest tent. It was just waving at me so enthusiastically, like really
Oh,
excited to see me. And I felt like I'd really made some new friends from that interview. And I said to them, I was like, I'll have you know she's at the band soon. We're gonna talk. Like I promise we're gonna get you on the podcast. And there's so much more to explore that we'll talk about today, I'm sure.
that's great. Of course, they are currently on the road, which is awesome to see. They have a huge tour coming up with not only Turnstile, but also Blink 182, which we'll get into definitely during the conversation
And
here.
they played Coachella earlier this
I
year,
know.
which is
Yeah,
insane.
that's
Like it's so
massive.
cool to see some heavier bands playing these mainstream festivals
Yeah,
and representing us well.
really good nod there. But kind of the reason I wanted to segue into this is because
Mm-hmm.
they are some badass females and femmes on the road. So tours right now, it's getting really hot. Tons of huge shows are being announced, especially with females or female fronted groups. So who are you pumped to see in the future?
Dude, we talked about this, but Ginger's got some more North America dates coming up. They are one of my favorite heavy bands at the moment. I think Tatiana
Yeah.
is one of the craziest vocalists of our time. She's just incredible. I remember even Melissa Cross saying in our episode with her, like, I would love to work with Tatiana, but I don't think she needs my help
Yeah.
as a vocal
High
coach.
praise, by the way.
High praise. And even seeing them live the first time I did, I feel like it's really rare because I just go to so many shows where I'm absolutely locked in and mesmerized by a band. And Ginger really did that to me, where I was just like, I can't leave this show early to get to my car before everybody else. I gotta stay for this whole thing.
And at this age, it has to be a band who really knocks it out of the park because we
For
always
sure.
want to leave before that Uber traffic or whatever it might be at the time.
For
But
sure. What about
it,
you?
it's been cool for me because I think that Ginger tool would be awesome. And if there's any way you and I can catch them together, oh my gosh, what a dream. I know, especially for you, you'd be losing
Oh,
it. But I had some buddies recently go see Paramore in New York City, and I know that they're always a group that we shout out on this show, but they're just so influential and they have been for so long. We just had an anniversary for Riot, which I think was 20, you correct me in the comments, folks, but like 20 years or something wild. It was a long time. You're shaking your head. Do you remember what it was?
I don't know. I'm just old
It was,
and I'm shaking my head because I'm old.
I thought I was just way off base, and you're like, no, it's
I don't
been
know.
10 years. You're time traveling. But no, dude, it's they're so influential, and she is just such an icon in her own right in so many ways, from the incredible vocals to the stage performance. And I think seeing her over the years go from different stage outfits to these glamorous dresses now, and I don't know, it's really just cool to see that evolution. So to see them in person would be a stellar thing again. It's been a very long time since I saw Paramore.
Yeah, they've evolved so much, and I do love every iteration I've seen of them. Another one I do want to just shout out as well, like upcoming show wise. I've talked about how much I love Cassia on KNOTFEST one too many times to count. I know everyone's sick of it. I just think she's fabulous. Even at the Heavy Music Awards was the first time I was in the same place with her, and I was like too scared to say hi. I just like walked by her table, looked at her, was like, wow, yeah, she's beautiful in person, and then kept going. But, maybe next time. But she's touring with Bring Me the Horizon in the UK not too long from now. So I'm hoping I can maybe catch that show while I'm over there again, because she's fantastic. So
couldn't agree more.
Lady Power.
Yes, all around. And speaking of Lady Power, I think it's time that we bring on Destroy Boys.
Let's go. Are joined now by Alexia from Destroy Boys. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm great. I'm at home for another 48 hours, maybe. A little less than that. And then we're going on tour with Blink and Turnstile, so I'm stoked. I'm just like resting and getting my luggage together, but I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm great. I mean, being like what's about to be probably one of the biggest tours of your career, if not the biggest. Is it kind of a good thing that you're only home for 48 hours so you don't have long enough to really think about it and psych yourself out or anything?
I think that part of it is good because we just got off tour in Europe, and so I feel really like in the tour groove right now. I almost wish that we had timed it so that it started sooner, but I think the couple days to like, I'm glad I wish I had more time because I love being at home, but it's also nice because it's like, okay, like I know what I need to take out of my suitcase. I know what I need for what I forgot at home, like, and I can prepare a little more for that. Yeah.
And it's a gigantic tour, so it's not like there's nothing to be looking forward to within that really short span. So this is a big one.
So excited. Yeah, I'm so excited. We're going to Canada, which we've only been to Toronto.
Welcome to my country.
Oh, cool. Where are you?
Wasn't Toronto, but also Montreal now.
Oh, sweet. Oh, cool. I love Montreal. Oh, yeah, we've been to Montreal too, but never like the western part of Canada, which I'm excited to.
You're gonna have an awesome time. I'm psyched for you guys, like genuinely.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, this is your first arena tour, which I know also it was such a dream of the band's for so long. I mean, as any band on the come up wants to play an arena. So when it comes to your live show, are there going to be any new additions or adaptations because a live, like a big venue of that scale is totally different from playing a small club?
So, I mean, I honestly think that the biggest difference, I think that for our headline shows, so we obviously play a longer time than we do openings. So our set is going to be more compact and more like music, as opposed to we kind of tend to break and talk and have a good time, but we kind of want to like play really well and showcase like our songs. So that's going to be different. And I mean, it's I'm like kind of speechless thinking about it, just because the venues are so big. I kind of have no idea what to expect since I've talked to a couple of my friends about it, but yeah, I think the differences will be there's just a bigger stage to like run around on, so
get your cardio going.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was really cute too, because once we saw everything was announced, you shared the actual graphic with a caption that said this was something that you wouldn't have even fathomed growing up when you were recording, complete songs off of voice memos and starting the band in your bedroom. So I guess walk us through the moment that the tour was cemented and what your reactions were to that news right away.
The reactions were immediately like, holy, can I cuss? Is
Oh
that
yeah.
okay?
Go for it.
Like I was like, we were like, holy shit, dude, this is crazy. Because Blink-182, like experiencing, massive revival, such a legendary like pop punk band. And then Turnstile is like the sickest, like probably going to be very influential band like of this modern sort of era of rock. And so like we're super honored to be on this tour because it's like two like legendary bands that I'm so excited to watch and learn from. Yeah, we were all like, holy shit, is this real? Is this real? Like, is this actually happening? I think like after the pandemic and stuff too, there's such a thing of like not wanting to get our hopes up, like for fear of like something being taken away. I think a lot of people sort of understand that feeling now. And so I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell absolutely like maybe a person here or there, but I kept it really quiet until it finally like actually got released because I was like, But yeah, um, we've just been looking forward to playing a big support tour like this like for so long, and it's so cool that like this is the one that is we're starting with, so crazy.
Oh. Since you're so close, does it kind of feel like in that moment still, since you're a couple days out, it's still not real? Like, will it take you to be on stage for it to sink in? Where are you at with that mentally?
Yeah, it's funny because like so I'm jet lagged and life already kind of doesn't feel real because when you're on tour like space and time is just distorts like over and over again. Um so I already feel a little like in a fantasy world right now. And I kind of I mean I'm very much like I don't really see that it's happening until it's actually happening because I'm kind of trying not to think about it that much aside from like okay like what am I going to need for the day of and wanting to prepare myself as thoroughly as possible. But yeah, it is definitely like I am thinking about it, but I'm not trying to think about it.
So I'm sorry that we've just
yeah.
been winding you up.
No,
for
you're
like
good.
5 minutes.
No, you're good. No,
Making
please.
you
I'm
think
so
about it.
excited. No, that's cool. I was prepared. No, it's just like,
Well,
I have like such little time at home that I kind of want to focus on it just, being at home and like being like, oh, in my bed, in my whole bed.
Do you kind of just sleep the days away when you have those short? No, that's that
Yeah,
was
no,
wishful thinking
yes,
than what you were
yes.
saying.
No, I
Yes.
did. Like I was saying no because that is exactly what I did yesterday. I just like smoked weed and just was hedonistic at home, just like ordering takeout and like watching stuff and just, I was like, I'm gonna do all the stuff I have to do tomorrow. I'm tired.
I
Rightfully
feel
so.
so seen and understood because when I got back from the UK, which was just a little bit before you, that like that was a mirror image of me, what you just explained. I did the
Yeah.
exact same thing. I mean, jet lag just, and especially when you're coming off of festivals and so many back-to-back shows, it just it hits all at once once the adrenaline wears off.
Yeah. That's the thing is like I want the like when you're on tour, the adrenaline is all the time, it's very on and so you kind of get used to it and then getting off tour, it's like, oh my God, everything is so relaxed. But I know that I have lots of things on my to-do list. Including like getting ready. I've been mentally preparing. I've been like, okay, like what am I gonna say on stage? Like what am I, what am I gonna wear? What am I gonna like how am I gonna prepare myself? It's been a lot of that. Yeah, because I'm like, I just want to do so good. I just want to kill it. I just want to do so good and like put on a great show.
You're beaming talking about this. This is the sweetest thing to see. I don't know. Within our careers, Tori and I have interviewed so many people over the last decade where they talk about these tours, and of course they're excited for the opportunity. But you can just tell you want to go out there and crush it, like really give it. That's so cool. I'm not taking it for granted.
Yeah, totally. Like this opportunity, like doesn't this doesn't happen all the time. At least not for us and not for like a lot of bands. So I'm really excited to. I really just want to make it not make it worth it exactly, but I really want to almost like what's the word? I just want to be like, you gave me this chance and like I'm not gonna fuck it up.
Totally. I feel like too, I've also had a little bit of a flashback to our previous conversation that we had at Slam Dunk where we were talking about how you all are like the new era of punk artists
Mm.
and like how that compares to your predecessors. And now look at you basically playing with your punk predecessors in Blink-182,
Yeah.
but then also with their Turnstile, which is that new generation of rock artists. So like, even thinking about the audiences, it's going to be so mixed of like young and old. I mean, have you noticed like different feedback from the older generation of punk fans versus like people our age?
I mean, the biggest everyone likes our band. Like a lot of different kinds of people like our band. I don't feel like it's really constrained to a certain age group.
Yeah.
And that shows because we can play festivals where it's kind of like older punks and they fuck with it because they do. I think that, I mean, the most obvious difference is the crowd reaction. So older people like don't mosh as much necessarily, don't usually mosh as much, are a little more removed, where I feel like younger people are more down to like be absorbed into the show. Not for that's not, that's a generalization, but that's kind of what I've noticed. And young, it's just like the young people are the ones who are like starting the pit and stuff like that. So, but I think that like it all varies. Each crowd is super different too. It really kind of like the mood of the room is always a little different from each other. But I'm really stoked. I think it's gonna be tight because it's like Turnstile is just like hot new shit. Blink-182, like back off, like back on, you know what I mean? It's so cool. Yeah. I really appreciate Blink-182 like taking out some younger bands too. I think that's really cool. Like the up and coming, I really appreciate that too.
Yeah, because they don't have to keep their ears to the ground to new music. They could just take out their pals from like 10 years ago if they wanted to, whenever.
Yeah, but I think it's smart of them to have like more modern bands because then you'll attract all kinds of people, you know what I mean? Yeah, and expose people to different things. It's very cool. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, even something I was thinking about, to like a bit of throwback considering you just came back from Europe. So lyrically, like a lot of your lyrics obviously appeal to the American audience that we consider relatable, but every culture also has different nuances of like what makes sense to them, what relates to them. So did you find while you were over there that the European audience was like latching on to different songs, or like that they just have like a different cultural view of your lyrics?
Yeah, of the lyrics, I would say honestly, like they scream the lyrics really loud. Like when they know the lyrics, like people sing it in the US for sure, but I feel like in Europe, it was like less moshing, more watching and singing along kind of vibe. And people kind of like moved in their own thing. And I think, I mean, Escape, that was a song that we didn't prepare, but then a bunch of people had asked for it.
Cool.
At different shows, and I think because it's kind of like a jumpy song too, that's kind of why people fuck with it. But lyrically, I think they get it. Even the German fans, like, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of them speak English, but it's like it was funny watching, people from different countries like yelling our lyrics, and I'm like, damn, I'm like, that's crazy.
That's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah. Lyrically, I think it all translates. I think it all translates across the board.
And there was one thing that I really wanted to touch on with you, and it was kind of the fact that although we have to deal with the criticisms of being females and femmes who love heavier music, or in the bands, in this case, who perform them, I think one of the beautiful things about this industry are the bonds that you can make with other females, because Tori and I have now been doing this podcast and we have this lifelong friendship due to it and to KNOTFEST, and I've noticed all the fun collabs and hangs with people that you've been having recently, especially at all of these different European shows. I think my favorite one is just seeing Kat from Scowl, for example. You always have the best time with each other. So a lot of people obviously think that we're catty to one another, and it's just such a crazy stigma that's still out there. So I'd love for you to tell us more about bonds with the close femmes that you have in your life, and if there's anyone else in music that really stands out.
Yeah, totally. That's funny. I FaceTimed Kat from Scowl like 30 minutes ago, and
Seriously?
I FaceTimed, yeah. And I talked to like Marissa from Mannequin Pussy like a couple hours ago, too. Like also a legend. And like I'm close with like me and Sasami. She's in a like sick. She kind of like crosses different genres. Like she had an indie album, and then she put out like a pretty metal album. And then her new stuff is going to be different. Sasami is another one. She loves heavy music too. Those are like some friends of mine and a bunch of people in the scene. Like a couple of my band Choke Cherry that's been getting a lot of recognition lately, which is super cool. But honestly, like there is such a tendency to want to see specifically femmes as competition and not as friends. And I think that I've been challenged in the past couple years to like confront that part of myself of being like, you know, I don't want this band to succeed. And then it's like, why the fuck am I thinking that? That's so rude. Like, and why, why don't I, it's just like it's ingrained patriarchal sexist thing that's like, there can only be one girl band. There can only be one girl band. If there's another one, like, you're out. And it's like, hold on a second, that's not true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's been really cool to just stay in contact with my friends who are like amazing musicians and femmes, because it reminds me like that we are homies and that we are our peers, and that any success for like Scowl, for Mannequin Pussy, for Sasami, like for Pink Shift, for like all these like cool bands around means it's just like great for the scene. It's great for them, and it's great for me as like not a boy performing, yeah, I fucking hate the patriarchy and what it does to people.
Yeah,
and especially like there, it's just annoying because there's like a million boy bands. Look at any festival, it's like a million boy bands, oftentimes dudes like who play the same fucking music as each other. And it's like, why do they get to exist all on the same plane and all have the same respect? We're not pitting these bands against each other. They get to coexist. But then girl bands don't get to have the same grace. They're always kind of pitted against each other. And I hate that.
Yeah, it was
reductive.
Such a great question, Alicia. I mean, I think even we as interviewers have felt that, because I don't know about you, Alicia, but like when we were teenagers, we were watching each other's interviews, not so much as competition, but like just seeing other people's questions, let's learn from each other.
Yeah.
But there always is that little bit of competition of like, oh, so-and-so's interviews are doing really well. What about us? Like,
absolutely.
And then you remember that if somebody's watching an interview with Destroy Boys on her channel, they'll probably watch one on my channel too, because they're fans of the band in general, and there's one for everyone. And now here we are on one podcast.
Yeah, so sick.
But like that just, it probably goes for any industry. It's such good advice, like, in a good mindset to remind, like, it is, I think it is kind of ingrained in all women and femme people.
And it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, totally.
But you gotta check yourself sometimes. Yeah,
for real. And the thing that makes me feel the most like better about it is just reminding myself to talk to my friends, and reminding myself to talk to these like badass performers, and just kind of remind myself like, oh, this is like a friend. This does not have to, like, they do not have to be like vilified because of social, and kind of like I feel like social media is so good for separating a person from their humanity. And when you see like, oh, this band's doing so good on Instagram, like, oh, this makes me feel like shit, like fuck this band for whatever, whoever. And then it's like, it's all optics, and it's like real, but it's not real. And it's like, I just, it's like there's better things that I can think about. It's like, instead of thinking about like, I don't really think of myself in terms of competition with these bands anymore, because it's just taxing and not helpful. I really like to just kind of like try and switch the perspective of like, wow, like all these bands like work so fucking hard. I'm so happy for them. It's like my friends, like, the people that I fuck with, like, they work really hard. And what makes me mad is when it's bands that like industry plant to ass bands and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't care what gender you are, I'm mad about it. But especially when I think about like a band like Scowl works so hard, you know what I mean? They do so much touring, they're so dedicated to what they do. Like, same with Mannequin Pussy, same with Sasami, same with our band. Like, we all work really hard. And so it's really fucking cool to see everybody getting their getting recognized, I really want like a festival with all these sick bands. I'm like, I just want to play a big festival with my friends, which we're kind of doing. We kind of have a mini version of that. We like do a little Destroy Fest thing that has just like the fucking homies on it, like Gully Boys, Jigsaw Youth, Destructo Disc, Bugsy, like cool bands.
Well, I sense the next lineup is churning in your mind right now.
Yes, I think we have a theme.
Yeah.
And if you need a podcast to cover it, just let us know. We'll be
Hey, I will. But yeah, it's like, fuck all that like sexist pitting us against each other. We should just be united because it's tight.
Fully. You know? And it's something that's really echoing in my mind that I remember you saying the last time we spoke, or actually, I think Violet said this, was, has anyone ever heard the term male-fronted bands? Yeah. And I remember we got so riled up, and it's like, you're coming on Choosing the Band soon. We're going to talk more about this, but we have to move along because we're at a festival. So like here we are now, like getting to talk about it a little bit more in depth. And I really would love to understand your perspective a little more as a touring musician of if there's any areas that you've learned through experience where femme or non-binary people have just not been treated as equally, and like what we can do to make a positive change in that department.
I mean, no shade to anybody.
Oh, I can't wait to hear where this goes.
No, I feel like there's gonna be some shade, but I appreciate the disclaimer.
Consider this like constructive criticism. If like, you know, if the shoe, I'm not speaking about anyone specifically, but if the shoe fits, like, you know, but I really don't like when the female girl band, I'm just gonna call them girl bands, like endearingly and a little derogatorily, because that's how, you know, reclaiming the girl band. But it's like, you'll see like all the girl bands get put on one stage, or you'll see it'll be a festival, like 20 bands and 2 of them have girls in them. And it's like, you're telling me that you could only find 2 bands with like a girl in them and you couldn't find any more. That's kind of the one thing, that's like the main thing, is not seeing diversity on festival lineups. Or they do have that those token bands, but they put them on the opening slot only. When it's like, you know, there is a thing where it's like, oh, it's harder to find like artists that are in this range that are female, and it's like, I think you didn't look hard enough, but okay. I
haven't seen the viral like festival posters where they're like circle the female artists that are on the lineup, and you're just gonna see like 2 circles, and you're like,
no, you're squinting to even find them. It's ridiculous.
I honestly think that girl bands are like underestimated in their power to draw people too. Like, even if there are women and non-binary folks, whatever, like on a festival, like if there's women on a festival, like they're billed low, when half the time it's like, who the fuck is this band? Like, I know a million people who know this girl band that's and you know, that's like down here on the list, like, and they draw the same amount as this other band. Why are they billed so much lower? It's also just like an optics thing, like just, you know, who's perceived as what, but there's a lot of like sexism hidden in the music industry. Like, I think that festival, like, I've seen a lot of women working festivals. I've seen a good amount, but definitely there needs to be more like sound techs, lighting engineers, stage hands that are women, tour managers that are women. Like, that's kind of, I think it's easy to diversify your team too. And like, I don't know, especially, I don't know. It's hard too, because you don't want someone like, like tokenization is a thing. And you never want that to be a part of it, but it's like, it would be so cool if festivals decided to have at least 40% of the bands has to have at least 1 woman in it. That's literally not that hard. I don't think it's that hard.
It's not hard at all. I mean, we have more requests than we can handle, even just for this podcast. Like, there's more than enough to go around. So absolutely. I'd say that's my biggest gripe. Yeah, I'd say that's my biggest gripe. Is like, just to restate it one more time, just like, when the girl bands are on the first ring, and when there's 2 of them, and when they're put in the same place away from everybody else, and when like there's, I don't know, it's just like when the girl bands are only the openers, when it's like, what about the rest of the fucking festival? Like, So to those of you who are booking festivals and happen to be listening to this podcast, we got you. If you need suggestions for girls, just hit us up.
I was literally just about to say, be better.
You know what? I like that too, Alicia. Actually, just be better. It's not hard. You don't need our help.
No. I mean, we're on the subject of just all of this female power, and I think, and it was just a phrase that Tori and I were using before we brought you on here, but there's a TikTok video that was shared through the Destroy Boys page that I really related to, and it's something that you've been so outspoken about, so I feel like it's something we don't bring up on the podcast too much, but I would love for you to answer this question in specific. But just about you getting these comments saying, I don't think women are capable of making good music, and the old classic line, "You're really good for girls with
For
your
a girl,
instruments."
yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
Just like people, it's so funny, like when I meet someone and they see me and I talk to them before we play versus like after we play, because definitely this used to happen a lot more when we were younger, but people were like surprised that we were a good band. And it's like, why did you expect me to be so bad? Like,
and the saddest part is because we know the exact reason why they thought that, and that's so incredibly messed up, especially the fact that you still get it now. So is a part of you ever shocked you're still getting these kinds of comments? Have you become numb to them, or is it something that you think will always have that impact on you, and a reason why we've kind of seen it a little bit within that cheeky lyricism too?
I would say I do still see it. And at this point, it doesn't really bother me. I think that I've become numb to it. And I also, it's like, I don't mind being underestimated a little bit, because then afterwards I get to be like, yeah, that's what the show is. You know what I mean? And I can be kind of a dick about it, which I like.
You're kind of doing an amazing thing, because for everyone who sees you who thought that, you immediately debunk that misconception. And maybe the next time they go see somebody who's femme presenting and playing a show, they're gonna be like, oh wow, this is gonna be great. Yeah. They'll just have a different opinion.
I'm like, that's what I think every time I see a girl band. Marissa and from Mannequin Pussy and I were talking about how like the music that women make, the music that like AFAB people, that like people with a women's experience have, like for me personally, I feel like we have to, in order for the music to be recognized, it has to be like so much better than the cookie cutter male music that's made. And also Marissa brought up a point about how like oftentimes like femmes just have this burning fucking desire like to express themselves, which I definitely feel. Like the music that we make, I don't take it lightly. Like every single song is just like drowned in significance and feeling and power. That's definitely a feeling I get from a lot of other girl bands, where like there's such a depth to the music in a way that, like Marissa said something about, like, yeah, like a lot of my friends are just like processing trauma like very publicly, and it's like yeah. But like the music that femmes make is like so good. Like it's so, I feel like it has to be a certain level in order, like I feel that way anyways. I think in a more subconscious way, where it's like I have to make something that I think is that at least I think is really good, because I can't just put out whatever bullshit song that a dude can write. Like, or I don't want to even. I'm like, I have higher standards for like my own music that I make. I'm like, or I have like I want it needs to be significant. It has to be. I don't like writing frivolous music. I really like the lyrics to mean something. Yeah. I kind of forgot what the question was.
I mean, I like respect that so much about you all. Hey, like the fact that your music means something, and I think you're right. Like women, we have a lot to say. We have a lot of fire under our butts, and a lot of passion that goes into our work. And something else I do know we talked about a little bit that I really wanted to dive into more is that you're really putting your money where your mouth is when you have these songs about social causes and things that are just happening in the world. Like I know you work with a lot of mutual aid organizations, advocating for social issues and getting your fans involved as well. So I don't know if you want to talk a little more about what those initiatives are, that like where your music and your politics meet, because I think that's a really cool thing with you too.
Yeah. I will speak on that in 1 second, but I just like thought about how I was just thinking about women making music, and I think that like we work really hard to make our music good. Like I feel like there's an element of having to work really hard to get recognized, and part of that makes the music more interesting because we put so much thought into it. I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot because I just feel like girl music like half the time is like so much fucking, it's so creative and different. And part of that actually might be is that like we haven't been highlighting women's voices as much in music, and so we now just get to hear the spectrum of sound and feeling that these previously like previously and currently squashed artists, like we get to hear them fully, which is so dope. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have different
Love women
perspectives
in
fully,
music.
and
Yeah.
totally different ways of looking at music and making music.
Yeah,
And just
seriously.
looking at life, and therefore it impacts every
Yeah.
process of creating
Mhm.
something. It's just, yeah, it's a huge
Mhm.
difference. And I'm glad
We
it's
have a
being
lot to add.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as like social stuff that I do, I was like, especially during the pandemic, I was thinking a lot about how to make our show more political in a way that made sense. For a while, I was sort of talking on stage about different things, and then like, but that kind of just isn't, it just didn't work as well, because it's like people like one of my bandmates brought up this point about how Idols is like a really sick band from the UK, and pretty much all their songs are like pretty political heavy, and but their show, they just like play the songs, play the songs, play the songs. They don't really do any talking about that stuff because the music already reflects it. And my bandmate brought up about how, yeah, like people want to go to a show to like have fun and like forget about all that shit. And I'm like, true, I see that, I hear that. And so the sort of compromise that I wanted to make was to invite different mutual aid groups from whatever city that we're playing in, local groups, to come and speak before we play. That way there's a sort of mobilization of the people who are there, kind of get to share knowledge and introduce them to a group that they can volunteer with. That's my deal. I like to find groups that are looking for recruits and stuff, because we get so many young people at our shows. We get so many people who like want to do something with themselves and like want to make the world a better place, but I feel like part of what stops people is the initial finding where to go, you know, and not knowing who to work with. So I kind of was like, okay, like here's the group now. You can start. Here's a starting point. And it's been really cool. I've gotten the chance to work with so many crazy cool groups. Just in Europe, we invited Just Stop Oil and Last Generation. They're both like kind of radical, like environmental groups, and you know, not everybody agrees with their methods, but I fuck with it. I appreciate anybody who's doing something about the climate. And they were just like great speakers. We had this group in London called Pine Mash, and I think it's like Autonomous Zone. They have like an autonomous sort of art space, and they like provide hot food for people, like free meals, like toiletries and event space, and all kinds of other, they put on events like for art and for politics and like other really interesting shit. And those were two great ones. And then in the US, oh man, I've got to work with so many cool groups, like so many interesting, powerful speakers. In SAC, there's like Decarcerate Sacramento, and there's also like Camp Resolution, which is Camp Resolution is a homeless encampment in SAC, who like they kept getting chased out by the government, by like the city, even though the city was like, we're gonna build you trailers here in this area, and then they swept them and then didn't fucking do anything. But Camp Resolution has managed to be really united and like really strong in their as a group, and so they've been able to organize like a lot of cool stuff. They finally got some housing out there. I think they're working on getting water and power, you know, to help out homeless folks and stuff. And oh God, there's so many groups. Like
I was gonna say, like,
so
is there
tight.
a list, or like if somebody's looking to find something, is there like a Google search that would be optimal for finding organizations to work with? Or like how would you suggest?
Yeah, how would I suggest is Instagram. Instagram has been the best thing that I've used, you know, unfortunately. Like I'm trying out a thing where I have a Google form so that people can write in their information, and so it just makes the process a lot easier. I've got a couple suggestions from that, which is tight. But really, like I just researched things on Instagram and tried to find the people that were the most active right now. and I just kind of put them on a spreadsheet. So I'm like, if you want some mutual aid groups, like hit me up. I have a spreadsheet. I want to make more of a list for that so that I can pass it around to other bands who
Awesome.
want to organize such a thing. But it's honestly been so dope. It's one of my favorite parts about touring is like getting to connect with these activists and people on the ground, like really doing shit. So cool.
And it's also so true that Instagram is the right place to find these things, because when I was in England, I started having this infatuation with hedgehogs, and I found a hedgehog rescue on Instagram. So all that to say, if you're resourceful and you know what cause you're looking for,
you can find what you need to find.
Yeah. I'm trying to, what I want to do, I haven't started the organizing for the headline shows next, but I think it'll be fine. Half the time it comes up super last minute anyways, and so it's whatever. It's funny. Activist group is like, so it's like organized, and it's like organized chaos, you know? So, but I like it. I'm kind of an organized chaos kind of person. But I like really want to find more indigenous groups across the country. And I think it'll be, I don't know how it's going to be honest, to find groups like that, but I think I'll be able to. I believe in myself.
Well, if anyone on Instagram that's listening to this has leads, you know where to find Alexia.
Yeah.
We believe in Alexia, and we believe in Instagram.
Thank you. Yes, we do.
And, Alicia, I think it's time to get down to business, isn't it?
Oh, she has her business glasses.
Come on, bring out the glasses.
This is all I've got.
I like yours, Alicia.
Hit him with one of these.
So we have a segment. Am I going to keep these on for this whole segment?
I think you should.
It's getting a bit much. We have a segment called our most jaw-dropping segment, where we ask you a series of questions from the most jaw-dropping moments of your career. Cool. Are you ready?
Yes.
These glasses are coming off. Anyways,
right.
Sorry to the audio listeners who have no idea what just happened.
Yeah.
To fill the
Alicia,
audio listeners in, Tor brought out these obnoxiously huge glasses that look dope, but again are massive and
ginormous.
Then
Ginormous
afterwards, Alexia proceeded to bring hers out. So there you guys go. You're all caught up. But for the first question, what is the most jaw-dropping experience you've ever had at a show? And this can be one of your own shows or one you attended as a music lover.
Okay. Kind of one of the most jaw-dropping ones was a week ago in Interlaken, Switzerland. Yeah. Because we played Greenland Festival in Switzerland, and the stage was like here, or we were on the stage, and then we were surrounded by the Swiss Alps. So that was really jaw-dropping. And every time I got kind of tired, I would like look up and be like, "Wow, I'm in the Swiss Alps. That's beautiful."
Performing in them, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then truly. Every time that we play fences and people jump and people scream beforehand, that's like a bit that we do. Like that song, every single show just pops off, and it catches me. It often catches me by surprise, because I'm kind of in a certain mode, and then I look out, and then people are like, like going crazy, jumping around. It's like that's definitely a highlight for every show that we play.
That's so good. And the next one we have here is the most jaw-dropping misstep early in your career and the lesson that you learned from it.
Oh my god. Every time I performed for the first 2 years of being a band was terrible.
Oh no.
Like, just, I know that these are kind of like bigger, but like, just the first 2 years of being a band, I was so nervous. I would just stand in place, basically, and like, I was so rigid that I'm sort of in awe that like that's how I chose to perform. You know what I mean? I get it, like, but it's like I don't watch any of our old videos because I'm like, oh boy,
it's like us with our interviews. We don't like going back to the ones from 8-10 years ago because it's just, man, we're a whole other breed now. But
exactly. It's like
it used to be like not a conversation. It's like question. So question.
Oh, just the worst. So bad.
So like I think it's sort of a comparable experience in that regard. But the thing is, I don't know about you, but like all of our old interviews are on the internet. Yeah. So are your videos online still from back then?
I
Not
don't
that anyone should go look at them, but
I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't know, and I don't want to know. I do know that one of the ones that comes up first when you look up Destroy Boys Live is one from like 2018, and I'm like, why the fuck is that there? Like, why can't you pick the set from 2023?
Report the video. Everyone go report
it. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, for the next one, the most jaw-dropping female artist that you would love to work with.
Oh, gosh. Let's see. Can I do a really famous one and then like a
You can
homie
do
one?
whatever you want.
Okay. Lady Gaga. I love Lady Gaga. I think she's amazing. Okay, I have 3 levels, sorry. Lady Gaga, top artist, because she's fucking insane and has crazy vocals and really creative work. So, and I really like her. So Lady Gaga's number 1. Next, curveball, Ashniko, because she was really incredible at Coachella, and I really just like loved everything that she did on stage. It was so cool. Like, she had dancers, she was dancing, really elaborate, like difficult stuff, and like singing, rapping at the same time. So would love to work with Ashniko. And I would also love to work with Marissa from Mannequin Pussy, because Mannequin Pussy is one of the best bands I've ever seen, and the emotion that that band conjures is otherworldly. Like, the last time I saw them, I just started crying. Like, first song, and it's not even like one of my favorite songs, but it was so like I feel like I heard it for the first time, and I was like, oh fuck, yeah.
Best feeling in a live show, isn't it? Like, when a song just hits different for like, you don't know why
it brings you back to a moment in time or something.
Yeah,
it's just the nostalgia.
Yeah. Maybe Bjork too. I think I would like to add Bjork to this list.
This is such a powerful list. Any of the above would be incredible.
Yeah,
Comment.
Seriously.
And our last, but certainly not least, most jaw-dropping misconception about you that you wish people understood.
I'm like that I'm short. No.
Are we like the same height? Wait, I'm short too, actually. Never mind.
Yeah. I'm like 5'4". Okay, misconception about the band. I think that, I don't know. I feel like that just the misconception that comes with being in a girl band. Just that one. The limiting sort of beliefs that people have subconsciously about women and AFAB people and they thems and just queer people like playing music. I feel like I don't know, like, we're a real band. That's kind of what I want to say, is like, I'm not in this for some, I don't know what you expect of me, but like, I am a musician. I am an artist. And I feel like when you're a female in music, you get reduced to being a female in music as opposed to an artist. So at least in rock music, so I don't know if that's exactly answers the question, but the general misconception that girl bands are just a girl band, and that's what you should take away.
That's strong.
Yeah, I hate that that's what like people take away from it, when it's like, why don't you take away that I'm like a whole ass person with like this catalog of music.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Drop the mic at that. Whoa. I think.
Yeah, seriously, that's such a good such a good message to go out on, though.
Who needs a hair flip anymore?
Yeah,
that's it, your phone flip.
Yeah.
But thank you, Alexia, so much. Like, it has been so great to catch up with you. Best of luck on this Blink tour. It's going to be incredible.
Thank you so much.
And
Alicia, thank you, Tori. This has been great. I'm having a great time. Thank you for interviewing me.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah.
And everybody who's been a bystander of this wonderful experience, who's been listening, thank you for tuning in. She's in the band here on KNOTFEST. New episodes coming regularly, so stay tuned. Give us a like or comment if you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, all.
Bye.